Hey there, welcome to CITAM Church Online. In this defining moment for our nation, it's important to amplify the Gen Z voice. And as a millennial, my name is George Murichu. I am honored to onboard onto CITAM Church Online a Gen Z. She's going to tell us a bit more about herself. What I do know about this phenomenal person is this. One, she's audacious. She's very clear-minded. She has a passion for social justice. And she has been on the front lines. In what's been going on, she's been on the front lines to, in a sense, challenge the church to do more and also to agitate for better. And so we are honored today. Join me in putting the digital hand claps for Washera. She's born again. She loves the Lord. She plugs in CITAM Karen. And she'll tell us a bit more about herself. So, Karibu Washera.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
As you've heard, my name is Washera. I am a qualified social worker and a social development practitioner. Amongst other things, I am also a podcaster. I don't think that's something you know.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's me.
And a blogger.
Oh, and a blogger as well. Yeah.
That one is just kawaida. It's ordinary.
Yeah, because it's something that I started as a teenager and I've just continued doing it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you are involved in social work. Your educational background is also social development.
Yes.
So distinguish those two for us.
So social work is very much about working as a social worker. So like if any of you guys have had an experience in a children's home, there's always a social worker there.
Yeah.
So a social worker usually says someone who is the glue that holds institutions not institutions, but institutions around an individual together. Okay. So for this child, the social worker is one who knows about their health, their education, and their housing situation. That's their role. Well, that's how I was trained. It's your role to ensure that those needs are taken care of and to help to collaborate across all of those stakeholders. Social development, on the other hand, is like international development. So social policy, understanding poverty, understanding diversity, understanding active citizenship. It's the development side of things, but from a social perspective. Okay. So as a developing country like Kenya, we have a lot of development projects. A social development practitioner would come and do like social impact assessments on, like, let's say a mine that's going to be built in like Kitui or something. So that's my academic background.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your assessment, do we have a policy problem or an implementation problem in Kenya?
I think we have an implementation problem. Our policies are amazing. We have an amazing constitution. A lot of the policies I read, I think when I was studying, I was reading I can't remember what policy I was reading, and I was like, wow, this is in Kenya. And then, obviously implementation is where things just go sideways. Yeah.
So we definitely can do better there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know you're passionate about action,
yes.
Practical Christianity.
Yes.
So tell us when that began to stew, brew, cook.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm passionate about social justice. It started when I was in high school. So I went to high school in Mombasa, and one of the things that I was involved in was justice for rhinos and marching for rhinos and elephants.
Amazing.
Yeah, you remember that time? I don't know, like 2016, 2017, there was a time where rhinos especially were going to become extinct.
Yeah. So
there was a lot of influence on the wildlife situation, and so I got involved. I remember we marched in Mombasa for that. At the same time, I also involved myself with the anti-slavery and human trafficking campaign that we did in school.
Still in Mombasa?
Yes, still in Mombasa. So we did it under A21, which is an international human trafficking organization started by Kristen Kane, who is a Mzungu preacher from Australia, who unfortunately also was a victim of human trafficking. So human trafficking is the commodification of bodies, buying and selling people. Yeah. And when we were in high school, we found out Mombasa was actually the hub for East and Central Africa. It was the gateway because of the port. Yeah. So you're having people being smuggled in and out of Mombasa into Eastern Africa and into Central Africa. Very gruesome stuff, but yeah.
Very, very, very. And here, let me voice an assumption, or what would we call it? We'd call it a stereotype. There are many who would say the faith we've inherited is more of faith in a bubble.
Yes.
So we are not too involved in those kind of things. We're saved, sanctified, we're heading to heaven. So rhinos and elephants, why should we care about them?
Yeah.
What about human trafficking? So what would you say about that?
I would say that as human beings, we have been asked to be stewards of the natural world, which includes rhinos and elephants. And also, as a human being, practicing my faith is ensuring that I love and show humanity to every human being that exists, because Christ did that for me. So how much more am I supposed to do that to other people? So for me, my faith is very practical. I would rather practice my faith. One of the things that I'm going to say is a quote from a political
He's a revolutionary.
That I admire, which is Che Guevara, and he says, knowledge is good, but action is supreme. So it's the reality of rubber hits the road. Where does your faith actually become practical and tangible, not only to yourself, but to other people around you? Yeah.
And that echoes James. James says faith without works is
dead. Yeah, exactly.
So one of the big things about Gen Z is action-oriented engagement. It's not so much the theory. It's
the practical ground.
Ground. Let's bring it down.
Yeah.
So I want to maybe camp a bit more on anti-slavery, and there's the thing about rhinos and elephants. Yeah. So it's interesting. You've said that was happening in Kenya. And in the context of church.
Yeah.
So where did that lead you? What other paths did that open up to you?
Yeah, so okay, so first of all, with the human trafficking campaign was done through the church I was attending, which was ICC Mombasa. So they're the ones who helped us channel this energy we had as young people who discovered this whole big evil thing happening in Mombasa and wanted to do something about it. So they helped us channel it, and that's how we were able to do the walks for freedom, handing out flyers and raising awareness. So it channeled, as you said, I'm passionate about social justice. So when I went to university, I studied social work. And social work is very much about social justice, sociology, understanding society and everything. So while I was in university, I got involved with other social justice campaigns, such as anti-racist campaigns, Justice for Palestine, and also anti-slavery there as well. We did a lot of historical analysis on the city of Lancaster, which is where I was, on its history with the slave trade. I was telling you actually, Lancaster walked so that Liverpool could run, and Liverpool was one of the biggest slave ports in Europe, in England at the time. So yeah, it took me down a path of practical engagement with social issues, but then also a lot of intellectual learning. Because through the anti-slavery campaign that I was doing with Lancaster, the Slavery Trees Project, Slavery Trees is because we were trying to map out the family trees of slave owners in Lancaster. I learned a lot about history. Also when I was there, I learned a lot about Kenyan history, our history through liberation, understanding colonialism, understanding slavery, etc. So yeah, that's where it took me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's backtrack and see. Okay, maybe you could speak to someone who's watching and they're wondering, Wachira is so clear. She knows her burning bush, her cause, and her reason for existence. So what if someone is watching and they're clueless? They don't know. They're seeing all that's going on in our country and they want to plug in. But they want to be clear about purpose and passion. What would you say to them?
Honestly, for me, these are things I was passionate about since I was a child. And I feel like that's something we need to acknowledge as people. What are you passionate about as a child? And I know, unfortunately, a lot of us don't have parents who will nurture that in us. For me, it was nurtured since I was, that's why I'm the way I am. But like, it's recognizing that each and every person has a purpose when they were brought into this world. So if you're an artist, that could look like, I don't know, writing poems about the current situation. Poetry is amazing when it comes to understanding struggles and social justice issues. If it's writing, you can write a book about it. It doesn't have to be realistic, it can be fiction. That could be an easy way for people to learn about something that's so disturbing, but they would rather learn about it through a fictional way, you know? If it's singing, music is amazing. I usually say the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, or the Mau Mau, they used songs to spread propaganda. They used songs to teach people about what was going on. If you're a teacher, you can educate people, especially right now with this whole Gen Z movement. Civic education is something that's needed. So there's always a role for someone in social justice movements, because it doesn't happen. Social justice isn't just for one particular way. It's social, so it means it includes everyone. So everyone has a role to play.
Everyone has a part to play.
Yes.
Let's talk about Gen Z. Let's talk about the Gen Z movement. What's been going on? So first and foremost, what are your thoughts around the name?
That name,
Yes.
So I honestly don't like that name. because because
And
yes,
you're Gen Z.
yeah.
Tell us.
I mean, yes, I'm Gen Z, but
Yeah.
people need to realize that this is not just like a Gen Z issue. It's something that affects the whole country as a whole. Whether you're a boomer, Gen X, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, millennial, all of us are affected. I will say yes, the Generation Z are the ones who triggered the actual uprisings or like the protests that have been happening. But the reality is it affects everyone. So that's why I have issues with that name.
Okay.
Because it's not just us Gen Zs who are out there. I saw many millennials in the
Yes,
protests.
yes.
I saw many boomers.
Yes.
Actually, the Tuesday that was the deadly Tuesday, as I'll call it, when people died or were killed, there were so many parents who came with their children.
Yeah.
So many. So it's not just a Gen Z movement. That's why I have issues with that name.
Okay. So what name would you say fits?
What you said, which is Generation Next.
Yeah.
Because it's true, we are the next generation. 65% of our population is below the age of 30, I am assuming, yeah.
8 out of 10 Kenyans are under 30.
Imagine.
That's significant.
It's significant, yeah. If you look at the wider continent, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We are young. The average age in Africa is 19.
19.
That's crazy. We are the next generation. So it's the crux of the matter is the understanding that ni sisi ndio tuko. So whether you ignore us or not,
we are here.
We are here.
What would you say to a critical, maybe older person, someone who is not getting this Gen Z thing, and basically they don't understand? So what would you say to them? Why are the Gen Z peeps at the very front of it?
I feel like it's because we bear the brunt of the failure of policies in this country. So I will, for example, I'll use my example. I'm highly educated, highly skilled, but I don't have a job. That
break down the highly educated and
so
just blow your trumpet. Yeah.
So I have an undergrad in social work, but I also have a master's degree in social development, an MSc, because you said I blow my trumpet. Yeah. So yeah, highly educated, highly skilled. I've done so many projects individually since I was in high school. Yeah. Just to make sure that I stand out more and I hand out my CV, but I still don't have a job. There's countless of other young people in this country who are in the same position. Yeah. I was reading a tweet the other day of a PhD, someone who's finished a PhD looking for work as a house help. Yeah. The situation is really, really bad. Yeah. So that's why we're at the forefront, because we're the ones who are feeling the failure of policies in this country.
Insightful.
Yes.
Insightful. So tell us about what has stood out for you with the protests. What have you loved?
What I have loved is something that I feel like the older generations have ignored about my generation, is that we have a hunger for what is right and for justice. Okay, let me not say what is right because it's a bit shady there, but like for justice we definitely want that, and we want it really badly. And this is seen, like in this year alone, there's been protests by medical interns. There was a justice against femicide protest. Yes. There was, I think, yeah, those are the ones I can remember. I've never seen how they reject the finance bill. We have such a strong sense of justice, which I feel like is not being nurtured and helped and channeled by the older generations. Because the older generations are the ones who have the resources, the tools to help us to channel that into something that's actionable and impactful. Okay. Right now, saying itu vurugu. We're angry, we are annoyed, but we don't have ways of channeling it into something. Yeah. Okay.
You're a practical person. Let's talk
practicality.
How can older generations channel energy, potential, and so forth?
So one thing I'll say is the blog post that I wrote, which I did not mince my words. It's very, very, I think my mom called me today and she's like, hey, Washera, you said you're going to go down hard on us, like all the bricks falling down on the church. Yeah. One practical thing I can say is, as young people, we don't have public spaces. The government has taken away all the public spaces. Especially for someone like me who's not in university, I can't just go to my uni. I can't just talk to my university lecturer and be like, can I use your classroom to host an event? I can't do that. So there's a shrink of public spaces where we can meet with young people and have these conversations. The church has an amazing opportunity there to provide that. It has an amazing opportunity to use the networks of the people within your congregation who are skilled, highly skilled and knowledgeable in things of civic education, political engagement, the constitution, and other practical things. So I feel like that's one way,
Yeah.
just providing space and seeing how you can connect young people to this generation of people who have this knowledge and creating something.
That's amazing. Someone observed there's a paradox that Gen Z have more space, more voice than ever before because of
social media,
digital revolution. So social media spaces, and you've seen how they're using that now with X and spaces. But the paradox is they don't have access to just what you've described.
Physical spaces,
the institutions and so forth. So I kudos to you for highlighting that.
Yeah.
Tell us what's next from where you're seated. What's next for Gen X? In
Kenya, that's a very good question. Right now, conversations are coming out of saying, you guys need a leader, you need to have this, you need to have that. And I'm like, I feel like the older generation needs to come out of that way of thinking, of organizing politically, that you have to have a singular leader who's leading you, you know? Because every time we've had a leader, they've been bought out. Right now we are leaderless. Even now,
there are reports of guys being
exactly.
Out,
So we need to realize that a social movement is not based on one person. It's based on a community. I'm a very firm believer of the concept of Ubuntu, which is I am because you are. So recognizing our interconnected nature as human beings. So when you're building a social movement, you need to make sure you have people around you. I usually say, it's a Kiswahili term of roll up na rende. Make sure you have a group, a rende with you, a squad, Not only people who will hold you accountable when you slip off. So for example, those people who are being bought off by politicians, but also people who will ensure that you uphold those values of justice, integrity, and accountability. So, I think I forgot your question.
What's next?
What's next?
For Gen X.
So for us, what's next is, I think, continuing the momentum. It's been amazing seeing medics come out and mobilize and organize themselves. It's been amazing seeing the Law Society do what they're doing. It's been amazing seeing even like the young Christians who did that protest on Sunday, which surprised
with
everyone.
Prayer. Yes,
with
did.
prayer, that journalists as well. So like it's what's next is ensuring that those communities continue what we're doing now. I feel like we need to realize Kenya won't change overnight. We got here through years and years and years of corruption and impunity. It will take, if not the same amount of time or longer, to change that. And we need institutions and structures that can continue doing that work. So clearly LSK has been doing that amazingly. Holding people accountable. The medics have been taking care of us. So it's about, what's next is about reinforcing those structures and ensuring that, one, they have accountability mechanisms that will reduce harm, but also two, they continue doing the work that is necessary to provide justice for the people who really want it and need it the most.
Okay. Very, very insightful points again. I think I want to pick up on what you've touched on, collaboration, which in my assessment is one of the superpowers of Gen Z. Just how this whole thing of being tribeless, faceless, leaderless, amazing. So tell us what you see for Kenya. What future do you envision?
I mean, if we continue working the way that we do, the future is looking very promising in terms of maybe we will see a country that is led by people of integrity, that is led by people who actually have issue-based politics, not tribal politics, classist politics, gender politics, having people who lead with the heart of the people in mind. Because even that collaboration you've seen is because people genuinely care. We care about each other, we care about this country. One of the most famous tweets I've been seeing around is like, we want to build Kenya, we want to stay here, we want to live here. We want to have our children here. We don't want to go abroad, which is true because Kenya is home. So
amazing. So the patriotism is commendable, that passion for social justice. We will definitely do this again and take up questions from our audience. And we'd love to hear from you, especially those of you who are in this space of social justice, social work, and so forth. Those of you who have a burden for our country and you're asking yourself the same question, what next? What do you see as the next step for our country? put it right there in the comments. And Washera, you can share with us your parting shot.
My parting shot is, guys, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's a long-term project. We need dedicated individuals who are passionate and who genuinely care.
Yeah.
And also people who this has been put in their heart by the Holy Spirit. We need such people.
Yeah.
So wacha kukalia your stuff bana, tokea.
Let's play our part.
Yes.
I would definitely pick up the discussion on Matters Church. We will have a conversation around that.
Yeah.
Church and the role that church leaders and believers can play in social justice.
Yes.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Insights.
Yes.
And all the best in what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And we are hopeful that better Kenya will be realized.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for watching today's episode. We'll do this again. Do share with us your comments and questions, especially on what next for Gen Next. Cheers.